In the shadowy annals of American history, where intrigue and enigma intertwine, one name emerges as a symbol of mystery and suspicion: David Ferrie. His life story reads like a riveting thriller, encompassing a web of associations that spanned anti-Castro Cuban movements, organized crime, and the tumultuous era surrounding the Kennedy assassination. As we delve into the enigmatic life of David Ferrie, a complex narrative unfolds, revealing a man whose activities and connections have stirred countless questions and conjectures. Ferrie's journey through the labyrinth of covert operations and clandestine activities was anything but ordinary. From his early days as a Civil Air Patrol (KP) cadet to his involvement with anti-Castro Cuban movements, led by figures like Sergio Arcacha Smith, Ferrie navigated a world fraught with intrigue and danger. His role in building miniature submarines, acquiring firearms, and teaching Cubans how to fly raises profound questions about his true motives and allegiances. Yet Ferrie's story takes an even more bewildering turn when it intersects with the realm of organized crime, specifically his alleged connections with New Orleans mob boss Carlos Marcello. Reports of financial assistance, legal representation, and covert operations undertaken on Marcello's behalf all hint at a deeper involvement that has never been definitively unraveled. As the cloud of mystery thickens, Ferrie's proximity to Lee Harvey Oswald, the man at the center of one of the most infamous events in American history, adds another layer of complexity. The tantalizing hints of their association, from their shared history in the Civil Air Patrol to alleged encounters in the lead-up to the Kennedy assassination, have fueled endless speculation about Ferrie's possible role in those fateful events. In this exploration of David Ferrie's life and labyrinthine connections, we embark on a journey into the heart of intrigue, espionage, and conspiracy that defined an era. It is a story that continues to captivate and confound, leaving us to ponder the secrets and mysteries that still shroud this enigmatic figure in the annals of American history. During its relentless pursuit of the truth surrounding anti-Castro Cuban groups, the committee delved deep into the enigmatic world of David William Ferrie, an alleged associate of the infamous Lee Harvey Oswald. The allegations against Ferrie were nothing short of chilling, claiming that he had affiliations with militant Cuban exiles engaged in covert flights into Cuba to support counter-revolutionary activities, and played a sinister role in the assassination of President Kennedy. The tension escalated on that fateful Monday afternoon of November 25, 1963, when Ferrie, of all people, voluntarily presented himself for questioning to the relentless New Orleans police. They had been relentlessly hunting him in connection with the most shocking assassination of our time. The New Orleans District Attorney's Office had already received a barrage of information suggesting a sinister connection between Ferrie and Lee Harvey Oswald. They whispered tales that Ferrie might have known Oswald as far back as their shared days in the Civil Air Patrol Youth Organization in 1954 to 55. Some even dared to suggest that Ferrie had given Oswald lessons in the deadly art of marksmanship and had somehow hypnotized him into carrying out the unthinkable act against the president. The audacious theory that Ferrie might have been Oswald's getaway pilot on that fateful day in Texas further fueled the flames of speculation. Yet, Ferrie adamantly denied every accusation, providing a detailed alibi that placed him in New Orleans, embroiled in court matters related to the notorious organized crime figure, Carlos Marcello, who had been mysteriously acquitted of immigration charges on the very same day as the assassination. A web of corroborating testimonies from Marcello, his lawyer, the lawyer's secretary, and even FBI agent Regis Kennedy all seemed to support Ferrie's alibi. Moreover, Ferrie meticulously recounted his whereabouts from the evening of November 22, 1963, up to the moment he walked into that New Orleans police station. Interviews with Ferrie's associates and the results of an exhaustive field investigation seemed to align with his claims. Even the FBI had to begrudgingly verify Ferrie's assertion that his Stinson Voyager airplane was grounded at the time of the assassination. Jack Martin, the New Orleans private detective who first mentioned Ferrie to the authorities, backtracked on his earlier allegations, confessing that he had no substantial evidence to support his claims. As a result, both the FBI and the Warren Commission were forced to conclude that the stories connecting Oswald and Ferrie were indeed unfounded. But the enigma surrounding Ferrie did not end there. His sudden death in 1967, just as New Orleans District Attorney Jim Garrison announced the reopening of the Kennedy probe with a keen interest in Ferrie's activities, raised eyebrows across the nation. While speculation of suicide loomed large, the New Orleans coroner, after a thorough examination, ruled it as a death due to natural causes. However, this only served to add more fuel to the fire of suspicion. The committee, undeterred by these twists and turns, felt that Ferrie's activities leading up to the Kennedy assassination demanded scrutiny. They were particularly fixated on the possibility of a connection between Oswald and Ferrie, as uncanny parallels in their lives and actions emerged. A tangled web of complex personalities, unorthodox political beliefs, and shared haunts. The committee left no stone unturned, poring over FBI and Secret Service reports, the Garrison investigation of 1967 to 68, FAA and Eastern Airlines investigations dating back to 1961, and conducting their own field investigation. Ferrie's life was an enigma from the very beginning. Born in 1918 to James Toward Ferrie, a police captain and attorney, his childhood appeared ordinary, but his path diverged dramatically over time. His eccentric appearance, with makeshift toupees and exaggerated fake eyebrows, only hinted at the peculiar character within. Described as very aggressive and highly obnoxious, Ferrie had a strained relationship with authority, but held an uncanny influence over his associates, particularly young men in the Civil Air Patrol Squadron. Several acquaintances hinted at Ferrie's homosexuality and misogyny, and his unusual educational journey included seminary school, a bachelor's degree in philosophy, and a doctorate in psychology from an unaccredited institution in Italy. His obsession with hypnosis led to a bizarre garage laboratory and an erroneous belief that he was a medical doctor and psychologist. Ferrie's complex philosophical and political beliefs were equally perplexing. He professed to be a devout Catholic and a theological liberal, yet harbored rabid anti-communist sentiments, criticizing various presidential administrations for perceived communist appeasement. His vocal criticisms even led to his silencing at a speaking engagement in 1961. However, it was in the world of aviation that Ferrie truly soared. An exceptional pilot, he embarked on a journey of flight, starting with lessons in Ohio and later working for an oil drilling firm in South America. Teaching at a high school proved to be a short-lived endeavor, leading to his firing due to unconventional practices. In 1949, amid rumors of impropriety, he left Cleveland for Tampa, Florida, where he continued to pursue his passion for flying. Eastern Airlines welcomed Ferrie into its ranks in Miami, later transferring him to New Orleans. Despite initial concerns over the veracity of his application, Ferrie's dedication and competence eventually secured his place, earning him commendations from the airline's president. However, his tenure at Eastern was marked by numerous complaints, leading to a protracted investigation and his eventual dismissal in 1963. Throughout his life, Ferrie remained intertwined with aviation, notably through the Civil Air Patrol, where his unorthodox leadership style often clashed with higher authorities but endeared him to cadets. His mentorship extended beyond flying lessons, as he provided flight time, hosted lively parties, and even offered his home as a refuge for troubled youths. Such intense influence raised concerns among parents, and Ferrie's relationship with the cadets became a contentious issue. Ferrie's story is one of contradictions and mysteries, a web of enigmatic choices and peculiarities that left investigators, even today, grappling with the puzzle of his life and the potential shadows he cast in one of the darkest chapters of American history. Within the secretive folds of this group, a faction known as the Incompetents was believed to have been formed, with the alleged purpose of training cadets for potential large-scale attacks on the United States. Ferrie's occupation and ownership of an airplane granted him the freedom to travel extensively across the nation. He frequently claimed to journey to Texas, various parts of the South, including Miami, and occasionally even ventured to New York. The exact duration of his stays in these cities remained shrouded in mystery. In a dramatic turn of events in August 1959, while Ferrie was in Miami, he found himself placed under relentless 24-hour surveillance by customs agents who suspected his involvement in illicit gun smuggling activities. The authorities even went as far as wiretapping his telephone conversations in a frantic attempt to uncover the truth. However, it was soon determined that Ferrie's intentions were far less nefarious. He was merely planning an outing for his scouts. This investigation, which had the nation on edge, eventually ended abruptly. Ferrie's whirlwind of activities did not stop there. By 1959, his fervent political zeal found an outlet in the anti-Castro movement. By early 1961, Ferrie, along with Leighton Martins, a young man he had originally met in the Civil Air Patrol, began collaborating with Sergio Arcacha Smith, the head of the Cuban Revolutionary Front delegation in New Orleans. Ferrie eagerly plunged into counter-revolutionary activities, constructing 2 miniature submarines with intentions of launching an attack on Havana Harbor. He also procured several rifles and mortars for this audacious endeavor and allegedly provided flight instruction to Cuban insurgents. Even more astonishing, some of Ferrie's cadets claimed to have undertaken journeys to Cuba in Ferrie's own airplane. Ferrie's adventures did not stop there. He joined forces with Arcacha Smith, the daring Gordon Novel, and Leighton Martins in a daring raid on a munitions depot in Houma, Louisiana. In September 1961, the U.S. Border Patrol received startling intelligence suggesting that Ferrie was on the verge of acquiring a C-47 airplane for $30,000 and stockpiling arms in the New Orleans area. However, this report remained unverified, as did rumors that Ferrie was extending personal financial aid to Arcacha Smith. Arcacha Smith even wrote a letter to Eddie Rickenbacker, the president of Eastern Airlines, seeking a 60 or 90-day paid leave for Ferrie to work full-time for the Cuban Revolutionary Front. Regrettably, the request was denied. Curiously, Ferrie's vacation in April 1961 coincided with the tumultuous Bay of Pigs invasion, though his specific role in this pivotal event remains shrouded in uncertainty. The Cuban Revolutionary Front branch in New Orleans had affiliations with its Miami counterpart, which was known to have received funding from the U.S. government. While some of these funds potentially found their way to the New Orleans branch to cover operational expenses, no concrete evidence suggested that Ferrie himself received any financial support from either the Cuban Revolutionary Front or the U.S. government. Ferrie's involvement appeared to be driven solely by his unwavering commitment. Despite his involvement in these high-stakes activities, Ferrie continued to grapple with personal issues during this tumultuous period. In 1960, he incited the anger of other Civil Air Patrol commanders during a cadet campute, leading to the withdrawal of his cadets from the event and culminating in his permanent resignation from the Civil Air Patrol in 1960. Ferrie's problems took a darker turn when parents of boys who had run away from home pressed charges against him. These events cast a shadow over his already complicated life, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and intrigue. In a disturbing episode, Ferrie managed to gain access to the New Orleans detention center by cunningly signing himself in as a doctor to visit a runaway boy. This audacious move was just the beginning of a series of troubling incidents. The parents of another young boy filed a complaint with authorities, alleging that their son was staying with Ferrie, leading to his arrest on August 8, 1961, on charges of contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile. Cuban exile leader Arcacha Smith intervened on Ferrie's behalf by issuing a veiled ultimatum to the police: return the boy to his parents or face consequences for pressing charges against Ferrie. Despite this intervention, Ferrie's legal troubles escalated when he was arrested again on August 11, 1961, this time on charges of a crime against nature involving a 15-year-old boy and indecent behavior with 3 others. A relentless investigation by the New Orleans police into these grave allegations yielded statements from several boys who claimed that Ferrie had engaged in inappropriate acts with them. Shockingly, these boys also divulged that Ferrie had confided in them about his homosexual relations with a married man in Houston. The repercussions of these revelations were swift and severe. On August 26, 1961, Eastern Airlines promptly removed Ferrie from its payroll indefinitely, and the Federal Aviation Administration initiated its own investigation into the allegations. With his life spiraling out of control, Ferrie sought legal counsel from New Orleans attorney G. Ray Gill. Senior Ferrie later revealed that he had struck an agreement with Gill in March 1962. Gill would represent him in his legal battles, and in return, Ferrie would offer his research and investigative skills for other cases Gill was handling. Ferrie's legal entanglements did not stop there. In February 1962, he entered a similar arrangement with Guy Bannister, a former FBI agent who operated a private investigative firm. Under this agreement, Ferrie would provide Bannister with his analytical skills, including the analysis of autopsy reports, in exchange for Bannister's investigative services. Bannister personally oversaw Ferrie's case. The genesis of Ferrie's association with Bannister could be traced back to late 1960 or early 1961, when Bannister, an ardent anti-communist, was actively involved in establishing the Friends of Democratic Cuba organization, a supplement to Sergio Arcacha Smith's Cuban Revolutionary Front, CRC. During this time, Bannister's investigative business and the CRC were both headquartered in the Bolter building. In February 1961, Bannister conducted background investigations on CRC members based on a list provided by Arcacha Smith. In early 1962, both Bannister and Ferrie relocated their offices to the Newman building, with addresses on both Lafayette and Camp Street. Furthermore, it appears that Jack Martin, a private investigator associated with Bannister, may have been enlisted by Ferrie for assistance with his case. Ferrie testified in August 1963 that he had collaborated with Martin on a case involving a fraudulent religious order in Louisville, Kentucky, in November 1961. Later, Martin wrote letters to both the FAA and Eastern Airlines on Ferrie's behalf, underscoring the intricate web of connections and alliances that entangled Ferrie in a world of mystery and intrigue. With this much-needed assistance, Ferrie managed to navigate his way through the turbulent waters of his legal troubles. By the end of February 1962, Ferrie stood trial and was acquitted of the charges of extortion. Furthermore, the other charges against him were dropped in November 1962. Financially, Ferrie found a way to keep his head above water, despite the loss of income from Eastern Airlines in 1961. Despite being labeled a poor credit risk by the New Orleans Retail Credit Bureau in October 1962, Ferrie diligently made payments on his car and managed to cover his living expenses. Simultaneously, Ferrie fervently sought reinstatement as an Eastern Airlines pilot. Attorney G. Ray Gill informed Eastern when the last of the charges against Ferrie were dropped. In response, Eastern sent a letter inviting Ferrie to Miami to discuss the charges in detail. However, Ferrie chose not to attend. Instead, several individuals, including one of the boys implicated in a sex offense charge against him, wrote to Eastern, passionately pleading for Ferrie's reinstatement. Ferrie also filed a formal grievance against Eastern. Then, in February 1963, he journeyed to Miami with Attorney Gill for a hearing regarding his dismissal. Eastern Airlines ruled against Ferrie, prompting him to file yet another grievance. The subsequent grievance hearing saw multiple scheduling changes. During this period, Ferrie was frequently spotted at Guy Bannister's offices at 544 Camp Street as he diligently prepared his case. Ferrie's final grievance hearing was scheduled for July 15, 1963, in Miami. Ferrie, along with Gill and Bannister, spent July 15, 16 and 17 in Miami as Eastern Airlines presented its case against him. The hearings revealed that the company's charges were founded on Ferrie's deliberate omissions and inaccuracies in his original application, allegations of moral turpitude, and misrepresentation of himself as a medical doctor and psychologist. The hearings resumed on August 5th, with witnesses testifying in Ferrie's defines, including former Civil Air Patrol cadet John Irian, Ferrie's close friend James Llewellyn, Ferrie's investigator Guy Bannister, and Ferrie himself. Leighton Martins provided a sworn deposition vouching for Ferrie's character. Bannister, in his testimony, attested to Ferrie's upstanding character based on his own investigation of Ferrie. However, during cross-examination, Bannister struggled to justify Ferrie's vehement remarks against President Kennedy in 1961, nor could he adequately explain Ferrie's involvement with a questionable church group. On September 30, 1963, Ferrie received the final verdict from the Eastern Appeal Board, which unanimously upheld his discharge. By the fall of 1963, Ferrie had immersed himself in the defines investigation of federal charges related to a fraudulent birth certificate against Carlos Marcello, an alleged organized crime leader in New Orleans. His ties to Marcello endured throughout his lifetime, with evidence suggesting continued collaboration as late as 1966, just 6 months before his untimely death, as he worked alongside known Marcello associate Jacob Nastasi in an air cargo service. The labyrinthine web of Ferrie's life was woven with intrigue, making his story a gripping saga of twists and turns. The shadowy depths of Ferrie's involvement in a web of intrigue continued to unravel. As an FBI anti-racketeering investigation into Jacob Nastasi unfolded, it revealed Ferrie's previous collaboration with Marcello associates in another airline company, United Air Taxi Service. The origins of Ferrie's ties to Marcello's world may date back as early as the spring of 1961. In a report from February 1962, though unconfirmed, it was alleged that Ferrie piloted the flight that brought Carlos Marcello back to the United States from Guatemala, following his deportation during Attorney General Robert Kennedy's crackdown on organized crime in April 1961. This event might have played a role in cementing Ferrie's relationship with the Marcello organized crime family. This intriguing connection coincided with Ferrie's active involvement with the Cuban Revolutionary Council. According to Carlos Quiroga, a Cuban linked to the CRC, Ferrie often provided funds to Sergio Arcacha Smith, stating that Ferrie lent him, Arcacha Smith, money when he needed it for his family, even after he had lost his job with the airlines. An FBI report from April 1961 indicated that Marcello offered a substantial donation to the CRC in exchange for concessions in Cuba after Castro's overthrow, hinting at Ferrie's role as a financial conduit. Furthermore, Ferrie's link to the Marcello organized crime family might also be discerned through the legal assistance provided by Marcello's lawyer, Jack Wasserman, to Ferrie's associates Leighton Martins and Andrew Blackman, who had been arrested shortly after Ferrie's indecent behavior charge. Ferrie's connections within this underworld persisted through his association with attorney G. Ray Gill Sr., who served as Carlos Marcello's attorney as well. According to Ferrie's account to the FBI, he began working on Marcello's case after his final Eastern grievance hearing. His activities primarily cantered around October and November. Ferrie claimed to have traveled to Guatemala on business for Marcello from October 11th to October 18th and from October 30 to November 1. Curiously, on November 5th, the day Marcello's trial began, Ferrie purchased a .38 caliber revolver. Over the weekends of November 9 and 16, he stayed at Churchill Farms, Marcello's countryside estate in Louisiana, to strategize for Marcello's trial. However, the enigma deepened further when New Orleans police records for November 22, 1963, revealed an altercation between Guy Bannister and Jack Martin. Bannister had allegedly pistol-whipped Martin during a heated dispute over long-distance telephone calls. Although Martin reported the assault to the police, he declined to press charges against Bannister. Remarkably, within 48 hours, Martin had the entire New Orleans Police Department on a manhunt for David Ferrie. The threads of Ferrie's life continued to weave a tale of mystery and intrigue, with each revelation adding to the complexity of his story. The plot thickened as a manhunt for Ferrie began. A witness told the police that Ferrie might have been connected to the Kennedy assassination. The suspicion was cantered around Ferrie being in Texas on the day of the assassination, serving as the getaway pilot. He was also believed to have known Lee Harvey Oswald from their days together in the Civil Air Patrol, where Ferrie had given Oswald firearm training. In a bid to locate Ferrie for questioning, the police detained two of his associates, Leighton Martins and Alvin Beauboeuf, at Ferrie's residence, charging them with vagrancy. While Beauboeuf remained uncooperative, Martins provided some information. He claimed that G. Ray Gill had visited to convey a message to Ferrie that his library card had been found among Oswald's belongings, though this account lacked corroboration. Ferrie finally returned to New Orleans on the afternoon of November 25th, accompanied by his attorney Gill. They appeared at the district attorney's office, where Ferrie faced questioning from the New Orleans Police, the U.S. Secret Service, and the FBI. Ferrie vehemently denied any prior knowledge of Oswald. Ferrie asserted that he had been in New Orleans until at least 9 p.m. on November 22nd, celebrating Carlos Marcello's trial victory at the Royal Orleans. He claimed to have left the city afterward with two friends for a short getaway. However, his account of his movements between November 22nd and November 25 raised questions. Ferrie said he had departed New Orleans by car, with Melvin Coffey and Al Beauboeuf heading for Houston. They checked into the Alamode early on November 23rd, with the date noted on the registration card being changed from November 22nd. The motel staff attributed this alteration to the early hour of check-in. On the afternoon of November 23rd, Ferrie claimed they went figure skating at the Winterland skating rink before heading to the Bel Air skating rink. Later that evening, they drove to Galveston, Texas, where they checked into the Driftwood Motel at 9 p.m. However, there were discrepancies in the check-in and check-out times between the Houston and Galveston hotels, raising further intrigue. The web of mysterious surrounding Ferrie continued to unravel, as his movements during this critical time remained enigmatic and subject to scrutiny. Records from the motels unveiled a trail of intriguing phone calls. Two calls originating from the Alamo were directed to New Orleans radio stations WSHO and WDSH. Another call, billed collect, was placed to the Town and Country Motel, known as Marcello's New Orleans headquarters. Ferrie, it seemed, was conducting his own covert investigation into the Kennedy assassination. Oswald's former landlady, Mrs. Jessie Garner, disclosed to the committee that Ferrie had visited her home on the very night of the assassination, inquiring about Oswald's library card. Mrs. Garner remained tight-lipped, refusing to engage in conversation with Ferrie. Another piece of the puzzle emerged from a neighbor of Oswald's, Mrs. Doris Eames. She revealed that Ferrie had come knocking on her door after the assassination, probing for any information regarding Oswald's library card. Eames informed Ferrie that she had seen Oswald at the public library, but had no knowledge of the specific library card he had used. Ferrie's quest for information did not end there. He sought out former members of the Civil Air Patrol, hoping to find any recollections of Lee Harvey Oswald in his squadron. Among those he contacted was Roy McCoy, a former cadet, who shared with the FBI that Ferrie had visited him, searching for photographs of the cadets that might feature Oswald. The implications of Ferrie's associations, his covert activities, and the persistent rumors that Ferrie and Oswald had been sighted together in Clinton, Louisiana during the late summer of 1963, as well as their acquaintanceship from their shared involvement in the Civil Air Patrol in 1955, all form critical components of the intricate web explored in the committee's report. These threads wove together the anti-Castro Cuban conspiracy and the organized crime conspiracy sections, adding layers of complexity to the narrative. As we conclude our journey through the life and enigmatic connections of David Ferrie, one thing remains abundantly clear. The legacy of this complex figure continues to be a source of fascination and intrigue. Ferrie's odyssey through the shadowy realms of anti-Castro movements, organized crime, and his purported association with Lee Harvey Oswald is a testament to the enduring mysteries that continue to captivate the imagination of conspiracy theorists and historians alike. While the questions surrounding David Ferrie's true motives and allegiances may never be definitively answered, his story serves as a poignant reminder of a tumultuous era in American history. It was an era marked by covert operations, espionage, and political upheaval, where individuals like Ferrie found themselves at the crossroads of history, their actions leaving a lasting imprint on the collective memory. In the end, the enigma of David Ferrie serves as a testament to the enduring allure of historical mysteries. His life remains a puzzle, a riddle that invites us to delve deeper into the annals of the past, seeking to uncover the truth that continues to elude us. As we bid farewell to this enigmatic figure, we are left with a sense of wonder and curiosity, ever eager to explore the untold stories and hidden secrets that lie beneath the surface of history. Thank you for exploring the fascinating journey of David Ferrie with us. If you enjoyed this content and want to stay updated on more intriguing historical narratives and mysteries, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. By subscribing, you'll ensure that you never miss out on our latest videos and explorations into the enigmatic pages of history. Your support and engagement are greatly appreciated, and we look forward to continuing this captivating journey together.